Okay, so let's see what we will do in this lesson. In this lesson, okay, we will work on another type of data analysis. Okay, tables. The last, okay, writing lesson. And after the lesson, you will understand the basics, okay, of the writing process, just like the basics one. Okay, and you will also do a complete writing task. Okay, so first let's talk about the overview, okay, of tables. Okay, so like the presentation of information in tables can seem overwhelming. It means like sometimes you get like a lot of information, okay, and you are overloaded, okay, with information. So you should know how to group data. Okay, so the first tip I have for you is you need to like describe like all the details of the table. Okay, you should know how to group data. Okay, and you like compare the figures in groups. Okay, and you should know how to like figure out the trend. Okay, like the overall trend of the whole table, right? Using general trend statements, and then okay, you support okay with specific data as in the graphs. Okay, and you should highlight okay some special changes or developments. Okay, so as I have told you, okay, in the graph, when you describe okay figures, we usually focus on like the biggest and the lowest, the highest, the lowest, the biggest, the smallest, right? And you should do the same thing in table. Okay, so this is like what okay I taught you last week. Okay, sometimes when you like support okay with a figure, okay, and sometimes we cannot okay give like the exact figures, so we just like use some phrases to show approximations, okay, and percentages. For example, like 49% can be expressed as nearly a half, or just under a half, and around or around a half. Okay, last week, okay, we discussed fractions. Still remember, okay? Sometimes you don't use percentages, but you change percentages into fractions, okay? Like nearly a half, okay, about 50%, okay, just under a half or around a half, okay? So in your written task, you have to use, okay, like between okay percentages and fractions. Okay, don't just use percentages only or fractions only. You have to use okay different percentages and fractions. 73% okay is nearly 3/4, right? 32% is approximately a third. And you also need to care about like the tenses. Okay, you use present simple, past simple, or future. Okay, so you look at the years, and if you see like all the years in the past or in the past, you will use past simple tense in your description. Okay, and if you see the time frame is in the future, you use future simple with will. Okay. The title of the table and the information, okay, contains. Okay, so if you want to know what the graph or what the table is about, the first thing you have to do is to look at the title of the table, right? And then you have a look at the time frame used. Okay, the time frame, okay, will let you know what tense you should use. Okay, whether you should use present simple, past simple, or future. Okay, so for example, okay, our time frame is like January 1990. So you know that you should use past tense in your description. Okay, so we continue, okay, talking about paraphrases. Okay, as I have told you many times before, if you want to like achieve a high band score in IELTS, okay, you should know how to paraphrase, okay, your sentences and paraphrase like the words. Okay, so one of the ways, okay, to paraphrase is to use different word forms or different sentence structures. Let's take a look at this example sentence. Hong Kong recorded 25 new cases on April 8th, right? This is active form. And if you want to paraphrase this whole sentence, you can change this one into passive. 25 new cases were recorded on April the 8th in Hong Kong, right? Okay, so I say again, one of the ways, okay, to paraphrase is to change the sentence structure. They give you active form, you change into passive form. Okay, they give you passive, you can change back into active form. Okay, or you can say the number of new COVID-19 cases increased significantly in Singapore. So this one, okay, this sentence can be paraphrased as there was a significant increase of new cases of COVID-19 in Singapore, right? So in this example, you can see that like the part of speech has been changed, right? Increase significantly, you see that increase is a verb, significantly is an adverb. And in the next sentence, okay, increase like has been changed into increase is a noun form, okay, and the adverb significantly is changed into significant, an adjective, right? Okay, so another way, okay, to paraphrase is to change the part of speech of the vocabulary. Okay, they give you the verb form, you can change into the noun form. They can you can even use like the adjective form. Okay, change the word family or change the part of speech. Okay, so here like this is the sample task we are going to discuss. Okay, we're going to like analyze this sample task a little bit. The table below presents the number of children ever born to women aged 40 to 44 years old in Australia. For each year, the information has been collected since 1981. Summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. Now we have a table for you to have a look at. Number of children ever born, okay? Women's age 40 to 44 years of age, okay? So when you like take a first look at this table, you have to notice like how many columns, okay, this table has. So we have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 columns, okay? So you have to ask yourself, okay, what does each column of the table represent, okay? What does like each line represent, okay? So a table contains columns and lines, right? Columns and rows, line or rows, right? To be exact, we call rows. Row number 1, 2, 3, 4. So when you look at this table, you can see it has 6 columns and 6 rows, right? 6 columns, 6 rows. So I will give you like 1 minute to take a look at this table before I ask you some questions, okay? So like my question for you is like, okay, what does each column represent and what does each row represent, okay? So just like take a look at this one and you like when you analyze this table, I want you to focus on like the biggest, okay, percentages and the smallest, the highest, the lowest. Remember, okay. So take a look at this one and Tell me, okay, if you can notice any like significant feature, okay, any outstanding features from this table. Okay, so like, can I ask a volunteer to like unmute yourself and answer my questions, please? Let's like analyze this table together. I have, I need like a volunteer, please. Who volunteers?
Hi, teacher.
Okay, hello. You are Tai or Yui?
I'm doing.
Yui. Okay, so Yui, can you tell me like, okay, so this table has 6 columns and 6 rows. Okay, so can you tell me like what does the first column represents?
The first is talk about the year.
The years. Okay, so the year. Okay, all the years are like in the past. So what tense should you use to describe this table?
I use past simple.
Past simple, right? Okay, when you take notice of the years, you know that you should use past simple. Okay, tell me the second. Tell me about the second column.
The second is talk about the the children of in the children who the woman was born. The first
But like in the
zero.
second column, yes, you see like none. None mean like this is like the percentage of women's age 40 to 44 years of age who didn't have any children, right? Okay,
Children.
like who, yes, who didn't give birth to any children at this age. Okay, and next column.
Um, the next column is one children.
One
One
child. Next
child.
one, 2 children, 3 children, and the last one is about 4 or more
Or
children.
more children.
Mm. Now let's discuss the rows. Okay, so what is like the first row represent? It represents the number of.
The num the percentage.
Mm, I think like the first row represent like the categories or like the number of okay children born okay by women aged 40 to 44 years of age, right? And the
Yes.
second row represents the percentages of those uh, those children, okay, percentages of those women, right? How about the third row? What does it represent?
Uh, the third is present the year 2006.
Mm. And
The,
next, 1996, right? 1986 and 1981. Okay, so like, do you like notice like anything special about the years here? Tell me like the gap from 1981 to 1986. How many years? Like, how is the gap?
um, mm,
What is the gap
um,
between these 2 years?
or 15 years.
91, no, no,
Not
from 81 to 86. So the gap is like 5, right?
is 5 years.
86 to 96, 10 years,
Oh yes.
right? And 1996 to 2006, another
It's
10 years.
10. in 10 years.
Yes, okay, that's what I wanted to notice, right? Okay, so the first gap is like 5 years and then 10 years, 10 years, okay? And when you like paraphrase, you can use like the word a decade to like paraphrase 10-year period, right? Okay,
Yes.
and Tai, can you tell me like anything special about this table that you have noticed? I mean like anything special about the figures? Anything special about like the figures? Like, okay, so let's talk about the second column, none, nuns. Okay, so you see, like, let's start. Okay, from 1981. So the percent is 85%, and then um, after okay 5 years, okay, it's up to 9.7, and then 12.8, and then 15.9. So
I think the trend is um, the percentage of women age from 40
mm,
to 4
yes.
years tend to uh, tended to have not to have children.
Very good. Okay, so you see like an like increasing trend, right? Okay, so when we talk about table, we also talk about trends. Okay, so like table is just like another type of like presentation of information. Okay, so these figures can be illustrated by a bar chart, right? Okay, so table is just another form, okay, of information presentation, right? Okay, so very good. You see, like from 8.5 up to 9.7, and then 12.8, okay, 15.9. So that means, okay, more and more women's age 40 to 40 years of age, okay, chose not to have children. Very good. Okay, next column, who can volunteer? Let's talk about like the percentage of women who decided to have one child at this age. 7.6, 8.7, 11.3, and 13.2. So it's an upward trend too. Okay, so these figures are on the upward trend too, right? Let's talk about two children. Two children. Also, okay, it's also on an upward trend. Three children. Wow, like the difference lies in okay the percentage of women who have three children at this stage. You see like 27.4, but like it down to 27. Okay, so you can use like the adverb slightly, okay, to describe, okay, like the increase, I'm sorry, the decrease here. Okay, so like the figure is slightly, okay, slightly decrease, or you can say like the figure is, okay, remain nearly the same, right? Okay, so that's the notice. That's like the feature, the outstanding feature that you have to focus on. Okay, and let's talk about like down to 27 and then down to 24.6, and then why the figure continue to decline. Okay, to 21.5. Okay, let's talk about four or more children. Downward trend too. Okay, so when you group information, you can okay put like the percentage of women who had who didn't have any child, or who had one child and who had two children. You group them together. Why? Because they are on an upward trend. You group them together and you compare them, right? And then you group okay like the category of three children and four or more children together. You compare them because okay those figures are on a downward trend. You see, okay, so like you can find okay many outstanding features from the table. What I wanted to do is okay find okay the outstanding features, find out okay the feature which is different from the other features. Don't just list the information here. Sometimes when you just right? You just list, okay, it's down, it's up, down, no. But like what the examiner, okay, expect from you is like your ability, okay, to figure out like the main feature, okay, the outstanding feature, which is different from the rest. You know what I mean, right? Okay. And you also like have to like make comparisons. It's very important to make comparisons, okay? And later on, okay, in this lesson, I'm showing you, okay, like a very good model, okay, answer in which, okay, the writer has used, okay, a lot of comparative structures, okay? Okay, so here I have like a small task for you. Okay, so can you take out a piece of paper? Right now, I want you to start writing an introduction and the overview for this table. Let's go. Okay, so let me like quickly remind you about the overview. In the overview, you focus on like the outstanding features, the highest, the lowest, or like um, the biggest proportion, the smallest proportion, okay, and if you can, you make, okay, a comparison, one comparison in the overview, okay. Now let's go. I think I will give you around five, okay, 5 to 7 minutes, okay. Can you write the introduction and the overview for this table, okay, and let's show me how you can paraphrase, okay. I really want you, okay, to paraphrase. So don't repeat these words. If you can, please paraphrase. Okay, so 7 minutes. And after 7 minutes, I will ask someone, okay, to like report your answers to read your answers to me, okay, and I will check and give you some advice. Let's go. Before you continue, okay, let me just have a quick look at our class today. There are only 9 students, only 8 students in the class. Okay, so we keep moving on. Okay, so Okay, I'm back, and I think like we have only 9 students here, so each of you please take turns. Okay, take turns reading your introduction overviews to me. Now just wait. Let me quickly take a picture of the student list. Okay. Okay, so let's take a look at this table one more time. Okay, đồng tấn chương. Can you unmute yourself and start reading your introduction and overview, okay, of this table? Đồng tấn chương, are you in the class? Are you ready to speak?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so can you like read your introduction and overview, okay, of this table to me?
The given table illustrate the number of children ever born by women aged from 40 to 44 years in a period of time from 1981 to 2006.
Okay, so here like you have just like one single mistake in your introduction. Okay, so this is not like the number of children. It means like the percentage, right? The percentages of children, okay, born by women aged 40 to 44 years old. Okay, next one, can you also tell me like the overview of this table?
I can see from the table the percentage of the children, the percentage of women born give birth to two children account for the largest percentage.
Mm.
Mm, mm,
And yes, and which category accounts for the smallest percentage?
and the women give birth to none of children account for the smaller percentage.
In what year? In 1981.
In 1981.
Okay. Thank you for your answers. Okay. Okay. Now you can mute yourself. Can we just like continue? Okay. So. Okay. So we continue brainstorming. Let's talk about brainstorming and outlining. Okay, so each paragraph should contain a topic sentence, okay, and you must include your overview, okay, just like your friend did, okay, in the previous task. And in the body paragraph, you should like include 2 to 3 significant points chosen to be analyzed and supported by specific data from the table, right? and conclusions. Okay, so as I have mentioned before, the conclusion in task 1 is not important. Okay, conclusion, okay, is the same as the summary. Okay, overview is a must, but summary or conclusion in task 1, okay, is not important. If you still have time, okay, you wrap up the points one more time, but remember to paraphrase. Okay. And remember to allow yourself, okay, some time, okay, about 2 to 3 minutes when you finish writing, okay, to check for the spelling mistakes or the grammar. Okay, so here, can you like have a look at some exercises in your textbook? Okay, so we can find exercise number 1 on page, okay, 56, and exercise number 2 on page 57. Do you have a textbook with you? Please open your textbook to the right pages. Okay, so let's take a quick look at the textbook.
Excuse me, teacher. Our workbook does not have the page 56, 57.
Yes. Okay. So like, I have found, okay, in the textbook, okay, and I discovered that, okay, page 56 and 57, okay, can't be found in the textbook. Maybe like it's like the old materials. Okay, in the textbook you can find information on page 40, 47, 47. Okay, so can you please, okay, stop looking at these slides and please open your textbook to page 47. Okay, and so I stop presenting these slides. Do you have a textbook by yourself? Please open your textbook to page 47. And let's take a look at the first task here. Sometimes the information can be shown in a table. So you read the following interpretation, the paragraph of the table below. Okay, so this is like German, French, Indonesian, Malay. Okay, listening, reading, writing, speaking overall. And be like, this is like the IELTS score, the average IELTS score, okay, of German, French, Indonesian, and Malay people, right? So this is the average band scores for students from different language groups taking the IELTS general test in 2010. Right, okay, so we're going to analyze this, okay, description together. Let me read first. The table illustrates the breakdown of scores. If you have a highlighter pen, please highlight the phrase breakdown of scores, right? For the IELTS general test in 2010. So here you can see the verb illustrates has been used. Illustrates, right? It shows separate scores for all 4 sections: listening, reading, writing, and speaking, together with the overall score for students from an overall perspective. German speakers. Okay, I think like the next sentence should be written in another paragraph. Okay, so in the first paragraph it just writes like the introduction and the overview, right? Can you use your pen or pencil, okay, and break that into another paragraph for me? Okay, so another paragraph starts with the sentence from an overall perspective. It should be in another paragraph. Okay, from an overall perspective, German speakers achieve the highest grades with an average score of 6.7 across all 4 sections. You see, okay, they focus on the highest grades. Okay, and like students from what country achieve the highest grades? From Germany, right? German speakers achieve the highest grades with, can you highlight the highest? Okay, this is a superlative structure. Achieve the highest grades with an average score of 6.7. So you should support with figure and data, right? Across all 4 sections. Moreover, highlights moreover. Okay, if you want to add more information, you can use this words. Moreover, they score the highest of all 4 language groups in 3 sections of the 4 sections. In 3 sections of the 4, right? Listening, writing, speaking. Next, French speakers score the second highest scores overall, closely followed by Malay and Indonesian speakers. Followed by, you can use this structure, followed by, okay, to indicate like the group of students, okay, which rank third and fourth, right, followed by. Although French speakers did not do so well in the reading, speaking, and listening sections compared to, highlight the phrase compared to for me, compared to Indonesian and Malay speakers, there was a significant difference in their grades for the writing section. So this one is the outstanding feature, right? Significant difference, highlight that. These grades were high relative to Indonesian and Malay candidates. Surprisingly, Malay speakers who achieved the second lowest results overall achieved the highest results of all 4 language groups for the reading section. As a final point, so can you break this one into another paragraph? Okay, this is like the summary as a final point. You can use this phrase to write a summary. As a final point, it is interesting to note that the scores for each section show that all students on average scored the highest marks for the listening section and the lowest marks for the reading section. Okay. Okay, so can you go to the next page? Let's go to page 48. 48. On page 48, we have another task here. And can you complete the following interpretations paragraph of the above charts? Use suitable words. Okay. The table below shows many tourists from 5 countries visited Australia in different years from 1991 to 1990. Okay, so below you can find the sample answers of this table. Now I want you to complete this sample answers with a suitable verb or a suitable word. Okay, let's do this task in 5 minutes. Okay, I'm going to put your answers on a PowerPoint slide so that everyone can follow. Okay. Okay, so let's read this one together. The table shows the rise in the number of visitors to Australia from a few countries worldwide over the 1990s. As can be seen, you can highlight this phrase and learn this one. Okay, as can be seen is a good phrase to remember. As can be seen, the data from the data on the United States, Canada, and the United Kingdom, Germany, and other countries in Europe. So number one, we need a verb, right? Think of a verb for gap. Number one, significantly over the decade. A decade equals to a 10-year period, right? The biggest was in visitors from other countries in Europe, which more than over the periods. Okay, so here, like in number two, maybe we need a noun form, the biggest. Okay, so which more than over the periods. The largest number of visitors in total came from. Largest number of visitors in total. In total, so you have to like calculate, okay, the number together. The largest number of visitors in total came from, which rose from 258 to 509,000. Okay, so you take a look at the table and you will know, okay, on what country it is. Visitors from the United States also increased. There were fewer visitors from Canada. So maybe in number five, in gap number five, we right fewer visitors from Canada, although the figure rose over the same periods, with most of the increase occurring in the second. We have gap number six and gap number seven. Gap number six can be another adverb. Number eight, there were almost as visitors from the United Kingdom as from all the other European countries, including Germany. However, by 1999, there were nearly tourists from other European countries as from the United States. The table that Australia is increasing in popularity as a tourist destination. Remember that slide, the figures are in thousands, right? The figures are in thousands. Okay, so like before I show you the answers, okay, so can anyone volunteer and read your answers to me, okay? Don't worry, it's okay, I will give you my support. I can help you.
Hello,
Hi,
teacher.
teacher.
Oh, we have two students here. So who wants to volunteer first? Okay, so Tài first, okay?
Um, my answer in number one is increase in past tense. The verb.
Mm, increase significantly over the decade. Okay, so can you like give me like different synonyms of the verb increase? Okay, because like besides using increase, you can use like other
Grew.
synonyms of this verb. Can you name some?
You can use the word grew.
Grew, yes, increase. What else?
Rose. Rose.
Yes, grew is the past simple form of grow, right? Grew, increase, went up, right? What else?
Rise. Rose. Rose.
Rose, very good.
Clam.
Um,
Clam.
clam, excellent, clam. Okay. Soar, right? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. How about number two? Can you continue? Number two, the biggest.
Uh, Golf.
Yes, the biggest growth, or you can say the biggest rise, okay, or the biggest increase, okay. So use like different forms, okay, of now here. So you use the biggest growth. I agree with you. The biggest growth, okay, was in visitors from other countries in Europe, which more than continue number three, which more than
Which more than two times over the period.
Mm, two times, but here I wanted to use like a verb. Do you know like which verb have the same meaning as two times? Two time higher.
Double.
Yes, I wanted to use the verb double, okay? Which more than doubles, okay? Double can be a verb, so you use double and you add ed for me, okay? You add d. More than double over the periods. The largest number of visitors in total came from what? Can you? Number four.
Came from United Kingdom.
Yes, the UK, United Kingdom, which rose from um, 258 to 509,000. Thank you. So back to you, Yui, please. Kung Yui.
Yes.
Gap number five.
The
Visitors from the United States also increased. There were
significantly.
excellent. Yes. I asked you, okay, to use an adverb. Okay, and can you like give me like other synonyms of the word significantly?
Considerably.
Yes, considerably. Yes, significantly, considerably, dramatically. Remember? Right?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. So when you describe, you paraphrase all the time. Okay. So you just learn those words by heart, and in the test room, you just use those words automatically. Okay. Get number six.
From 51 to 75.
Okay. From 51,000 to 75,000. I agree with you. With most of the increase occurring
Half
in the
of the
second
decade.
in the second half of the decade. Very good. Okay, so you can even use the phrase in the first half of the period shown or in the second half. Okay, it's a good phrase for you to learn. Continue number eight. There were almost as
Many visitors.
mm, there was almost as many visitors from the United Kingdom as from all of the other European countries. Gap number nine. However, by 1999, there were nearly
As many tourists.
as many tourists from the other European country as from, yes. Okay, so I just want to remind you about the structure as many. Okay, so if you want to talk about like a figure which double, you can use, okay, twice as many as, right? Or three times as many as. Okay, next, number 10, the table.
Compare.
The table compares that, no, not compares that, shows that,
Show.
or indicates that, or illustrates that, okay, or demonstrates that, because like the verb compare, okay, is not used with that. Okay, compare something. You understand? Compare
Yes.
something. Right. Thank you so much for your answers. Okay, so I'm going to show you my answers now. Okay, so now you take a look at my answer. Okay, so remember that there can be more than one correct answers for each gap. Okay. There can be more than one possible answer for each gap. So number one, increase, right? Instead of using increase, you can use like rose, okay, or climbed, went ups, right? You can even use like the strong verbs like soar, okay, or rocketed. So remember like the verb rockets, okay, soar and rockets, okay, can be used to show big increases, okay. Number two, the biggest rise or the biggest growth, the biggest increase, right? Number three, double here, more than double. Number four, the UK, right? United Kingdom. Number five, considerably, right? Or you can even use like dramatically, noticeably, right? Significantly, right? So when you learn, you put, you take note of all of the words which share the same meaning, and you learn them by heart. And like when you are in a test room, just use them automatically, right? You don't need to like think too much. We just like use the phrases automatically in the test room. Number six here. Number six, you present like two figures. Number seven, half. In the second half, in the first half, right? Number eight, many. Number nine, as many. Number 10, indicates or shows or demonstrates or illustrates, okay? Or you can even use the verb represents, okay, for a gap. Number 10. Okay, so please have a look at page 49.
Excuse me, teacher.
Okay, so what's your question? Yes.
Can I question at number 3, the word double with ed? I'm consider that is it a noun?
No, because in this case, double is a verb. Okay, so you can add ed to the verb double. Double is a verb too. Double is an adjective and also a verb. Okay, you can say figure A double. Okay, do you understand now?
Oh, wait a minute. I will.
In this case, double is used as a verb. Okay, the figure doubles. So which more than double? Okay, so it's a verb. Any questions?
Thank you. I got it.
Yes. You can say like figure A double. Okay, figure A triple. Okay, so double, triple. Okay, like twice as many, 3 times as many as. Okay, so it's a verb. In this case, it's a verb form. Okay, so now please go to page 49. On page 49, okay, so this is your written task, your written assignments, okay, with table 1 and table 2. So I'm going to help you with table 2. We're going to discuss table 2, okay? If you have time, you can write like 2 descriptions, okay, of these 2 tables. But if you are too busy, okay, you choose only 1 table and you write, okay, your description. So let's talk about, I will choose like table 2, okay? So table 2 shows you like chief causes of death in the United States from, okay, so from 2 years, 1910 and 1992, okay? Chief here is like the main causes, okay, the primary causes of death in the United States. Okay, so let's have a look at this table. As usual, we are going to analyze this table a little bit. Okay, so here in this table you can see like 2 years are illustrated here, 1910, 1992, and you know that you have to use past simple to describe um, this table, right? And here you can see like different like causes are mentioned here, from pneumonia, influenza, heart disease, cancer, accident, stroke, tuberculosis. Please take a look at row number 7. Row number 7. Do you like notice the difference here from 1910s? Okay, the cause like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5th, 6. The sixth cause of death in the U.S. in 1910 was like tuberculosis. But like when you take a look at the same category in 1992, it was chronic lung disease, right? So features here are different. Next one we have diarrhea, enteritis, suicide, different too. Nephritis, chronic liver disease, diphtheria, diabetes, mellitus, others. Okay, so like some new categories replace the old categories, right? So you just like make comparisons between like the same categories, okay? And you don't make comparison, like between features which share different, like different ideas. Okay, so and you like have a look at this slide. The table shows chief causes of death in the United States from 1910 and 1992. Writes a one-paragraph report interpreting the table. So in this task, they ask you to write only one paragraph reports. Okay, but like when you send me your answers, you can write like full answers in different paragraphs. Okay, just like I taught you before, introduction, overview, and then 2 or 3 main body paragraphs, and then the conclusion or summary. Okay, but like summary is not important. Task, support, grouping the data. Okay, so you should know how to group data together. Okay, we talk about like communicable and non-communicable diseases. Which diseases were recorded in 1910s but not in 1992? Okay, so you should use your pen to circle, right? In 1910, we can find like tuberculosis, but like that disease was not mentioned in 1992. Okay, in 1992 you can see chronic lung disease, right? Diarrhea was not mentioned in 1992 either, but you can find a new cause of death, suicide. Okay, suicide is killing themselves, killing himself or herself. Okay, nephritis, chronic liver disease, they are also different. Okay, so guys, I have a piece of advice for you. Okay, so like for a table, which includes like 2 different time frames like this, 1910 and 1992. Okay, you should write like 3 paragraphs. Okay, in the first paragraph you write introduction and overview, right? In the next body paragraph you can talk about, you can discuss the features of all the causes of death in 1910 And in the next body paragraph, you discuss information of 1992. Okay, and you can even make comparisons between pneumonia or influenzas, okay, between these 2 years, okay, because we can just make comparisons between the same categories, right? Okay, if the two categories are not the same, how can we make comparisons? Okay, and another tip for you, you can also make comparison like within groups, within groups, like within 1910. For example, you compare the percentage of people who die of pneumonia with accidents, right? Okay, so I said again, you can compare, okay, like figures of the same categories or of the same group, okay. If you compare figures of the same categories, it means you compare pneumonia in 1910 with pneumonia in 1992. That's one way. Or when you choose to compare figures within group, it means you compare, for example, pneumonia in 1910 with cancer or with accident, okay, in 1910. Okay, so compare within groups or compare within categories, same categories or the same groups. Two ways for you. Okay, so can you, okay, so just like we did before, I want you to write first one, introduction and overview, okay, for this table. Remember, we can have like different answers, okay, so there will be no right or wrong answers, okay. We have different approaches to a task, okay. So can you write the introduction overview for this one first? Okay, I give you 5 minutes for this task. I need an overview. I need introduction here. Okay. In the overview, okay, so you can just say like you talk about, you discuss 1910s, okay, which cause of death accounts for the highest or the biggest proportion or the highest percentages, okay. And how about in 1992, right? Which ones, okay, makes up the highest percentage? Which cause of death? You have like 100%. If you add, okay, all of these percents together, you have a total of 100%. Pneumonia influences from 11.8% down to 2%. Oh, like it's like a significant decline can be seen here, right? Heart disease. Oh, heart disease can jump. The figure of heart disease jump from 9.4 up to 34.4. Wow, it's like almost 4 times, right? Okay, that's how you interpret data. Okay, you still remember how to interpret data. You use, okay, like the figure went up, but like how many times, okay. You can even use like the adverbs, okay, to show why, okay, the decrease or increase, okay. Use adverb like significantly, okay. And you can even use like the fraction here. You can even use fraction. Last week I taught you how to use fraction, okay. So now let's care about introduction and overview first, and we will go into details later, okay? Don't worry. Okay, so can I have a volunteer to read your introduction and overview to me? Anyone volunteers, please? Who can? It's quite easy to write the introduction overview for this one. As I have told you before, in the overview, you just focus on the biggest, okay, the smallest, lowest, highest, and if you can, you draw a comparison between those figures. That's all. That's all what you have to do in the overview. Who can? If no one volunteers, I will pick a random student. No one volunteers.
Hi, teacher.
You want to volunteer again, Phương Duy? My
Yes.
most active student. Okay. So after this course, I will remember two students. Okay, Phương Duy and Tài. Right. Okay. Okay. So can you? Let's go. Your
Uh,
introduction. Let's go.
the the table has the mainly reasons of death in the U.S. in two different years, 1910 and 1999,
Mm-hmm.
1992.
Mm. How about your overview?
Overall, the primary cause of death is others in 1910. By contrast, in 1992, um, heart disease is the highest reason of death in US.
Very good. That's it. That's very simple. You don't need to do much. Okay, in the overview, just focus on the significant features. That's what you have to do. Okay, but if you can, I want to paraphrase. Okay, the introduction, because I don't see. Okay, you paraphrase much and the introduction. Okay. So you
Yes.
use the word like primary causes of death. How can you paraphrase that? You can say primary. Okay. How can you paraphrase primary causes of death? Because I don't want you to repeat the same phrase. The primary reasons. The primary reasons. Okay. Which led to the death of people, or which led to the death of uh, American citizens, something like that. Okay.
Yes.
Mm. Okay, because if you don't show your ability to paraphrase, you don't achieve a high band score. Okay. Thank you for your answer. Okay, so class, let me help you here again. So instead of using chief causes of death, you can say primary reasons. Okay, for okay, um, making American people die, or primary reasons. Okay, which led to the death of American citizens or American people, right? So you don't repeat the United States, but you use American people. That's it. Okay. Okay, and for for all the disease mentioned in the table, okay, you don't need to paraphrase all the diseases mentioned here, okay? Because sometimes it's really hard to paraphrase. Okay, don't force yourself to paraphrase, because if you don't understand, okay, clearly about the meaning of the phrase, but you still try to paraphrase, sometimes you you put the wrong meaning. Okay, you wrote a nonsensical sentence, a meaningless sentence. Okay, and you will lose mark. So don't force yourself to paraphrase. Okay, for medical terms, especially for medical terms and medical vocabulary, it's hard. Okay, so just keep it. Okay, as these, right? And if you understand, okay, if you like have a clear understanding about the disease, okay, and you know, okay, how or you know the exact medical term for that disease, you can use, okay, like a similar medical term, okay. If you don't know, please just like play safe, okay. Okay, so now we continue. I want to go into details. Okay, so in the first body paragraph, I want to focus on the year 1910. Okay, so can you go into details? Okay, and you like show some details and remember to support. Okay, your description with some percentages. Okay, or like some data here. Okay, and make comparisons. So 5 minutes for you to describe 1910. And if you can, please use fraction. Okay, fraction. 37.2, what can you use for 37.2? Okay, 37.2. Last week we talked about like 33.3, right? This is 37.2. 40% is like equal to, you know, like 2/5. 2/5. So this is around 2/5. Okay, 37.2. Roughly 2/5. 1.9%. You can say like a very tiny percentage of, right? For 1.9. Okay, only 1.9. So you can use the phrase of a very tiny percentage of, okay, American people, okay, dying of diphtheria. In 1910, most American people die of pneumonia or influenza, right? And tuberculosis too, because like 11.8 compared to 11.2, they are nearly the same, right? They are nearly the same. And no, not like most Americans die of pneumonia. No, most Americans die of like others causes, die, okay, because of other causes. Others, okay, accounts for 37.2. So you can write a sentence like, in 1910s, roughly 2/5 of American people, okay, die, okay, because of other reasons, right? Seventy 77.2%, okay, and the figure was followed by pneumonia, okay. So you can say like pneumonia or influenza was like the second, okay, the second primary, second chief cause of death in United States. And you can compare like 37.2 to 11.8, make comparison. Remember to group them together. Okay, so for like the reasons which accounts for under 5%, put them together, right? Group them together. Under 5%, you can use a tiny percentage of. Okay, remember, like you need to go into every details. Okay, so you need to like write smartly, right? Group information together. So if I were you, okay, I will put okay all of the courses, okay, which accounted for under okay 5%. I group them together. Okay, so here we have cancer 4.5, accident 4.2, and diphtheria 1.9. I group them together. So I say, okay, they just like accounted for a very tiny percentage, right? And you have to also notice the percentage of pneumonia and the percentage of tuberculosis. They are nearly the same. You see 11.8 and 11.2 nearly the same. You can compare them, okay, together, okay. What the examiner expects from you is your ability, okay, to find the outstanding feature. Remember, that's the keyword, outstanding feature. Okay, you don't just list the figures, but you have to figure out, okay, the outstanding feature, the feature, okay, which is outstanding from the rest, or which is different, okay, from the rest. Okay. Table is like the most okay difficult type of like information representation. It's very hard okay to group information together, but try your best. Okay, so who can volunteer and read your description of the year 1910? What's your name?
My name is Tai.
Okay, let's go, Tai.
In 1910, in a communicable disease cause, pneumonia was the most common cause, led to death
Mm,
American citizens at
that's right.
11.8%,
That's right. Very
followed
good.
by tuberculosis at 11.2%.
Mm,
Moreover, nearly one-tenth of people die from heart disease. Uh,
yes. Very good. So heart disease, we have like 9.4%. Yes. You can say like 1/10, or you can say 1 in 10. Okay, 1/10 or 1 in 10.
yeah.
1 in 10 American people, okay, die of. You can use die of. Okay, heart disease. Good. What else?
And a tiny percentage of U.S. citizens
Mm,
die of diphtheria.
mm, yes. That,
That's all.
that's
For,
all very good. Yes. Thank you for your ideas. Okay, I can see that. Okay, you have shown your efforts. Okay, like in paraphrasing. Okay, you use American inhabitants, American citizens, and you can also okay like figure out the outstanding feature here. Okay, as I have okay suggested. And now let's move on to 1992. 1992. Who can volunteer? Or you need 5 more minutes? Okay, let me give you 5 more minutes for the figures of 1992. Okay, so in like the table 1992, you should focus on like the new causes of death. Okay, which are represented here. Okay, like suicide, okay, chronic lung disease, okay, chronic liver disease. So at the beginning of the first body paragraph, you can mention, okay, those new features, okay. Take a quick look at this one. I can see that heart disease, okay, accounts for the highest percentage at 34.4%. Okay, and I can see, I can say immediately, okay, like this figure was much higher. I say significantly higher than the rest of causes. You see, 34.4. It was much higher than pneumonia or accident, stroke. Okay, chronic lung disease, right? Okay. And I will group heart disease and cancer together because they are, like the top two chief causes of death in United States in 1992. They stand out. So I group them together. Okay, and the other causes just accounts for a small percentage. You see, heart disease 34.4, cancer 23.9. I group them. I compare them. And one more here, I noticed accident and stroke. I group them together. Why? Because they share the same, nearly the same percentage, 6.6% compared with 6.5%, nearly the same. I group them together. Okay. Chronic liver disease 1.9 and diabetes mellitus 1.7. I group them together. They are nearly the same too. Okay, so that's how you compare like within groups. Okay, you compare figures which share the same features or the same percentage. That's my advice for you. And one more thing, you can like compare the highest number with the lowest number. Like how many times was that figure higher than, okay? In this case, we have like heart disease 34.4% in comparison with the lowest one here is diabetes mellitus 1.7. So you see like it's almost 34 times higher. It was almost 34 times higher, right? 1.7%, 1.9%, 2%, 2.7%, 2.1%. You can group them together. Okay, so like these figures are under 3%. Why don't you group pneumonia, chronic lung disease, suicide, chronic liver disease, diabetes mellitus? Group them together, and you just say, okay, they accounted for a very tiny percentage. Okay, under or below 3%. That's it. Okay, group information. Don't go into don't present too many details because you can't present all the details here. Okay, so I need a volunteer, please. I have like given you many suggestions. So now you just reread your description to me. Let's see how you can describe the year 1992. 1992. Anyone, please? No one? Okay, so I will choose a random student. Wait. Are you a new student or no? You are Khung Yui again. No. Stop it, Khung Yui. I will ask another student to, okay, to speak up this time. Nguyễn Hoàng Huy Thông, please, because like today is the last lesson. So I want to hear your voice to make sure that you understand, or you know how to write a description, in the final exam. Now, Huy Thông, let's go.
Okay, in 1992, the main cause of death in Americans belong to non-communicable disease, heart disease, and cancers, which percentage respectively is.
Huy Thông, can you continue? You have to unmute yourself because you muted yourself. Unmute yourself, please.
Hello.
Okay. Yes.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Can you start again?
In 1992, the main cause of death in Americans belong to non-communicable disease, heart disease, and cancers, which the percentage respectively is 34.4% and 23.9%.
Okay, so here, you don't say with the percentage respectively is. You say with, with, for example, with 34.4, 23.9, and 18, and then you put the adverb respectively at the end of your sentence. Okay.
Yes.
So yes, that's how you use respectively. Is that all? Do you want to add more information?
Yes, this is followed by the accidents and strokes, which the percentage is almost the same.
Yes, almost the same. Okay, at about 6.5%. Support the data immediately. What else? How about the other reasons? The other
reasons just has the very small percent, under 3%.
That's right. Okay, good. Okay, your answer is acceptable. Right. Thank you. Thank you, Huy Thông. Okay. So I just want to make sure that all of you, can write a description. Okay, not only Trọng Tài or Khung Duy. Okay, everyone. Okay, can write a description and make comparisons. Okay, so now for the rest of the time, I'm going to show you some good example answers, and we can learn more from these sample answers. Okay, so I take a look at this one. Okay, so if you want, I can send you this Word document file later. Don't worry. Okay, so IELTS table. So you see here, IELTS table describing an IELTS table is similar to describing charts or graphs, right? So table is just another type of presentation, of the data, right? Okay, just another type of presenting the data. Okay, so figures in a table can be described through charts or graphs, right? So items are the same. See? So the same structures of comparisons and contrast are used, or language of change is if the table is over time. A table is just another way to present information. It does not require a type of language or a new way to organize things. For example, take a look at this IELTS table showing the quality of life in 4 countries presented in a table. So take a look at this table. Actually, this is not 4 countries, 5 countries. So I correct this one a bit. 5 countries. Okay, so 5 countries are presented in this table: Bangladesh, okay, Bolivia, Egypt, Indonesia, and USA, right? So, and you can see like the categories here are GNP per head, daily calorie supply per head, life expectancy at birth, infants mortality per 1,000 live births. Okay, so if we wanted, we could present this same information as a bar charts here. Okay. As I have told you already, okay, table is just another type of, another way of presenting data. The data can be presented through a bar chart or a pie chart, okay, even a pie chart. Now take a look at this one. However, as you notice, it is better presented as a table because of the huge difference between the USA and the others. This is not very clear on a bar chart, so table, okay, like will provide you with a clearer, okay, a clearer visual illustration, right? So a table looks better, but they would both be described in exactly the same way. As with all graphs and charts, when describing tables, first, do not describe all the data presented, as I have reminded you so many times before. Don't describe every details. Group information, right? Presents the main points of each features. You should make sure you mention each feature though, okay? But you have to make sure that, okay, you mention each feature. You need to present like the figure of every feature, but make sure you mention them, okay, in your description. Try and group the data. Yes, that's what I mean. Try and group the data. Try to group the data. This may require you to use some general knowledge about the world, such as recognizing developed and or developing countries. Okay. Okay. So next one. So we look at this IELTS table that you looked at above and answer the questions that follow. The following table gives statistics showing the aspects of quality of life in 5 countries. Summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. Write at least 150 words. So when you just like you look at other types of charts, when you look at a table, you ask yourself some questions to analyze the table. What is the table measuring? You look at the title, okay? What type of language do you need to use? Change, comparing, and contrasting, right? What tense would you use? Okay, so you ask yourself these questions. What tense would you use? By looking at the time frame, you know what tense you use, right? Which country has the best quality of life? See, as I have told you 1,000 times, okay? You focus on like the features, okay? the most significant features. So here, which country has the best quality of life and which has the worst? Okay, the biggest, the lowest, the most outstanding, the least outstanding, right? The highest, the lowest. That's what I want you to remember. Okay. What information could you use for an overview and conclusion? Conclusion is not compulsory. Okay. What information could you use for an overview? Right. Okay. You can use significant features. You put the outstanding features and you make comparison. Right. How could you group information? Another keyword that I want you to remember after today's lesson is grouping information. Okay. How many paragraphs would you have and what you would write about in each one? Okay, that's how you plan your answers. Now this is the model answers. Okay, so can I ask Hung Duy? Hung Duy ơi, can you help me to read this model answers?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, can you read this model answers to the whole class, please? The table uses.
The table uses for economic indicators to show the standard of living in 5 selected countries in 1982. Overall, it can be seen that the quality of life in the USA was far higher than the other 4 countries.
Okay, so you stop. I have a question for you. Okay, can you find the comparative structure in the overview? What comparative structure has been used in this overview?
I think we need to separate the introduction and the overview.
But like you can even include, you can even like combine like the introduction with the overview. It's okay. But I want to like focus on the phrase far higher than. You see? So if in the overview you can make comparison, okay? And yes, you say like far higher than, right? Now continue to begin.
To begin, the USA, which is a developed country, had the highest GNP at $13,160 per head. It also had a much higher daily calorie intake and life expectancy, and the lowest rate of infant
mortality. It means like the death rates of children, of infants. Okay, so here I have like highlighted like all the comparative and superlative structures here. The highest, right? Much higher, the lowest. Now continue the other developing countries.
The other developing countries had quality of life ratings that were significantly lower. The rate of indicators for Egypt, Indonesia, and Bolivia were broadly similar.
Broadly similar mean they are nearly the same. With Egypt
having the highest quality of life amongst the 3. However, the infant mortality rate in Egypt was slightly higher than Indonesia's at 97 deaths per 1,000 compared to 87 in Indonesia.
You see, when you compare the figures of 2 categories, you can use the phrase compared to or in comparison with, right? Last one, Bangladesh
had by far the lowest quality of life in all the indicators. Its GNP was 100 times smaller than the USA. Its calorie intake and life expectancy were about half those of the USA, and its infant mortality rate was 10 times greater.
Yes, thank you. You can mute yourself, okay? So what I want to notice from the final paragraph is that you can't find any figures, okay? represent or present in the final paragraph writer of this written task, like show he can interpret the data. You see, by far the lowest quality, and then 100 times smaller than. Sometimes you need to show the figure, you need to support the figure, but you have interpreted the data. 100 times smaller than. If you don't take a closer look at the figures, if you don't analyze, if you don't interpret, how can you come up with this result, right? So the examiner highly appreciates your efforts of analyzing and interpreting data. Sometimes you have to do some kind of calculations or some basic maths. I think I think you are all good at math. So show your ability to interpret data, right? Like 100 times smaller or about half those of, right? 10 times greater. The figure is almost double, more than double, or 3 times higher than. Use those structures in your description to achieve a higher band score. So I will end the lesson here, and for the rest of the time, if you have any questions, I'm still here to answer your questions. Do you have any questions following this lesson?
Hi, teacher.
So what's your question?
Today is the last question, right? The last lesson, right?
Yes, today is like the last writing session.
I want to ask you about the mixed chart. Do we learn this?
The mixed chart? No. Yes. So like in your final exam, there won't be there won't be any mixed charts. But like if so just like if you are given the mixed charts, what do you have to do? All the steps are the same. All the steps are the same. You just you deal with any chart. For example, you are given like a table and a line graph. So you describe a table and then you describe the line graph. And if you can, try to figure out the link between the table and the line graph. And if you can't, it's okay. Just describe table and then you move on to describe the bar chart or the line graph. That's it. It means you have to do twice in the mixed chart. Any questions? So if you don't have any more questions, I will quickly take a picture of our today class. And if you still have the questions, you can contact me via the email address. Now goodbye everyone, see you. And remember
Goodbye,
to finish
teacher.
finish your written task and send it to my email address.